When you talk to someone face to face, you really get the full picture, right?
Oh, totally. You get the tone of voice, the micro expressions, posture.
Yeah, exactly. You have all the flesh and muscle of human communication.
Yeah.
But an email is just a skeleton. It's just bare text on a screen.
Right, which is why the anxiety around hitting send is just so universal. We know that once that skeletal text leaves our outbox, we aren't there to, smile or soften the blow.
Yeah, it's a permanent record. And to figure out what's actually going on in a high-stakes message, you basically need an X-ray to read the intent beneath those bones.
Exactly. It's completely stripped of context.
So today on this deep dive, we are looking at a really comprehensive guide to the psychology and the architecture of professional English emails.
It's such a great source.
It really is.
Right.
We're taking that X-ray machine to our inboxes to figure out how to engineer warmth and clarity into our text so you can stop second-guessing your drafts. And the sources provided two really contrasting stories that beautifully highlight why this matters.
Yeah, and the stakes in both scenarios are surprisingly high, even though the emails themselves are, pretty routine.
Exactly. So the first one is about a professional who missed a deadline. And they just needed to write a single apology email to a key client.
Sounds simple enough, right?
Right. But because English wasn't their first language, the fear of permanence just completely paralyzed them.
Yeah.
They spent 40 agonizing minutes constantly rewriting it.
Oh, wow. 40 minutes for one email.
Yeah. Terrified of sounding either too defensive, too casual. And by the time they finally hit send, the resulting email was so vague and rigidly constructed that it actually damaged the client relationship further.
The irony there is just painful because, it wasn't a lack of professional empathy that hurt the relationship.
No, not at all.
It was a failure to translate that empathy into the correct structural register.
Yes. And the second story shows what happens when that structural register clashes across cultures.
Yeah.
So a professional in New York received an email from an international colleague that read, and I quote, "As per my last email, I have already sent you the document. Kindly do the needful."
Oh, boy.
Yeah, the recipient's immediate reaction was incredibly defensive.
Yeah.
Because, to a Western corporate ear, that sounds like a massive passive-aggressive demand.
It does. But if we run an X-ray on that specific phrasing, the underlying intent is completely different.
Right.
Phrases like, kindly do the needful, or revert at the earliest are standard idioms in South Asian business English. They're actually legacy phrases from British administrative English preserved to convey deep respect.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. The sender is trying to be polite by giving the recipient the autonomy to decide what action is necessary rather than barking a direct order.
That is such a vital distinction. It completely reframes the interaction. It's not that the sender's being rude. It's a collision of regional workplace baselines. In Western corporate culture, brevity is respect. You respect my time by telling me exactly what you want. But in other cultures, brevity is seen as blunt and aggressive, and respect is shown through formal, deferential language.
Which brings us to the concept of register. Because if we don't have facial expressions to show our intent, we have to rely entirely on where our vocabulary sits on the spectrum of formality.
Right.
And the primary reason emails fail is that professionals just default to the wrong end of that spectrum.
Okay, let's unpack this because it's really a matching problem. If we think about email architecture, like designing a user interface, or actually let's think about it like an office dress code.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, writing a highly formal email for a daily update is like wearing a tuxedo to a casual Friday. It makes everyone uncomfortable.
It really does. Highly formal language, legal jargon, hyper-deferential phrasing, it adds a ton of friction to the user experience.
Easy.
It forces the recipient to mentally decode your respect into actionable data. It just slows them down.
Yeah, it's an ill-fitting tuxedo. And on the flip side, if you wear gym clothes to a boardroom, like using purely casual text message slang with no punctuation, you lose all professional authority.
Exactly. The sweet spot for the modern globalized workplace is what linguists call semi-formal or friendly professional.
Friendly professional, okay.
Yeah, it was highly efficient but wrapped in deliberate warmth.
So if kindly do the needful is an example of an overly formal phrase that causes friction, what are some of the other traps? The sources mentioned a few phrases that people lean on when trying to sound professional, but that actually backfires.
Awaiting your prompt reply is a classic example.
Oh, I hate getting that one.
Right. Writers use it thinking it sounds professional and proactive. But psychologically, it shifts a heavy cognitive load onto the reader. It carries this impatient hovering energy.
Yeah, it feels like someone literally tapping their watch at you. And what about as per my last email? Because you see that memed constantly online as the ultimate corporate weapon.
What's fascinating here is the evolution of that phrase. I mean, it has become heavily loaded. Even if your intent is purely informational, like you're just trying to point someone to a previous thread, the modern recipient almost universally reads, as per my last email, as you didn't pay attention and I am documenting your incompetence.
Yes. It triggers an immediate defensive response.
It really does.
Because it feels like a subtle CC to human resources, like I'm creating a paper trail here.
Exactly. So if we want to avoid triggering those defensive reactions, we really have to redesign how we build these messages.
Right, let's move from tone into the actual architecture of the email. If we don't have tone of voice, how do we prove to the reader that we actually respect them?
By relentlessly protecting their time and their cognitive bandwidth. And, that starts before they even open the message. It starts with the subject line.
Which is critical, because C-suite executives and busy managers are mostly skimming their inboxes on mobile devices. You only have, maybe the first 40 characters of a subject line to tell them whether this is a fire they need to put out or just a memo they can read on Friday.
Right.
So sending an email with the subject line follow-up or quick question, you're basically hiding the ball.
Exactly. A vague subject line is a failure of empathy, but the sources provide a highly functional formula to replace it.
Oh yeah, tell us the formula.
So it's state the action or status, followed by the specific topic, and finish with a deadline if it applies.
Okay, so instead of just budget question, we use the formula and write action required. Approval needed for Q3 budget by Friday?
Yes.
Wow. That is a completely different user experience for the recipient.
It acts as a clear exit sign on a highway. They know exactly where this email is taking them before they even click. And once they do click, you have to maintain that momentum in the opening line.
Right. And this is where I think a lot of people stumble into throat clearing.
Oh, the filler phrases?
Yeah. They use phrases like, I am writing to you regarding, or the infamous, hoping this email finds you well, which, let's be honest, has become so automatic it's basically invisible ink.
It really is. It takes up valuable real estate on a mobile screen without delivering any value whatsoever.
Exactly.
Those filler phrases are just a crutch. The recipient knows you are writing to them, and they know what it's regarding because of your brilliant new subject line. So you can jump straight into the lane with a warm, highly specific opener.
Like what?
Like, just a quick update on the Q3 budget, or following up on our strategy call.
I love that. It's the inverted pyramid style of writing. You front load the most critical information in the very first sentence. You don't bury the lead in the third paragraph because they might stop skimming before they get there.
Precisely. You want to keep the body tight, ideally under 200 words. And then you have to guide them to the destination. Every professional email must end with a clear call to action, or CTA.
Okay, wait, I'm stuck on the CTA rule.
What's the holdup?
Well, what if I'm just sending a weekly status report? I don't need the recipient to approve anything. I don't need them to reply. Forcing a next step in that scenario feels like it would just create confusion, doesn't it?
It's a totally valid concern, but the sources actually reframe what a call to action can be. Explicitly stating no action needed on your end, just keeping you in the loop, is a highly strategic CTA.
Oh, because it gives them permission to archive it immediately.
Exactly. Giving a busy colleague explicit permission to not reply is a massive power move.
I love that.
It builds incredible social capital because you are actively managing their cognitive load and saving them time.
That makes perfect sense. So we have this highly efficient architecture, strong subject line, front-loaded body, clear CPA. But how does this hold up when the message itself is inherently difficult? Let's talk about the mechanics of softening a blow, especially in high-stakes situations.
This is the true test of email mastery. The goal is to separate the clarity of the message from the bluntness of the delivery. You can be incredibly specific about a problem without being cold to the person.
Right. Let's look at how that plays out in an apology, because this connects right back to our first story. The professional who spent 40 minutes agonizing over a missed deadline.
Oh, the poor guy.
Yeah. The sources contrast two ways to handle this. Let me read the weak version first.
Oh, for it.
It says, due to some unavoidable circumstances, the report has been delayed. I will try my best to send it as soon as possible. I hope you will understand.
Oh, the psychology of that apology is disastrous.
It really is. When I read that, it feels like the writer is shifting the burden onto me. Like, due to unavoidable circumstances is just evasive. It's a shield.
Yeah.
And ending with, I hope you will understand, effectively assigns me a task. I now have to do the emotional labor of forgiving them, but they haven't actually given me a solution yet.
That is a brilliant breakdown of why it fails. It damages trust because it shows a complete lack of control. Now let's contrast that with the strong version. I take full responsibility. The delay was caused by a synchronization error in our database, which we have now corrected. I will send you the completed report by Friday at 5 p.m.
Wow. The difference in authority is just night and day. They take ownership immediately. But what really stands out to me is the explanation. It's exactly one sentence.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that is the golden rule of a written apology. One sentence of context.
Just one.
Just one. Anything more than that reads as defensive over-explaining. You state the facts neutrally, and then you pivot immediately to the new deadline. It repairs the relationship because you are demonstrating that you are back in the driver's seat.
That is so smart. And we can apply this softening technique to everyday pushback too, right? Like if a colleague sends a flawed plan, replying with "this plan won't work" is a clean break. It's just too blunt.
Way too blunt.
But shifting from an imperative statement to a modal question changes the entire dynamic. So instead of "fix this error," you write, I have a few concerns about the timeline. Would it be okay to talk through them?
Exactly. You're using words like would, could, and might to engineer that missing warmth. You aren't diluting your concerns, you are just wrapping them in professional courtesy so the recipient doesn't immediately put their guard up.
Right. And to execute all of this seamlessly, the sources highlight a specific vocabulary set, what they call pocket words.
I love the pocket words.
They're great. These are terms that do heavy lifting in professional communication. So the sources list 7. Recipient, acknowledge, clarify, follow-up, CC, BCC, tentative, and prompt.
Which one stands out to you?
I really want to dig into tentative because I think it's basically a psychological cheat code for scheduling.
It really is. Using tentative is how you keep project momentum alive without backing yourself into a corner.
Exactly. If someone asks for a meeting, but I don't have my finalized schedule yet, saying, "I'll let you know next week," just kills the momentum completely. But saying, "Let's put a tentative hold on Thursday at 2 p.m. and I will confirm by Monday," keeps the ball rolling.
Right.
It signals that I am organized and engaged while still protecting my flexibility.
It manages expectations beautifully, and that actually ties directly into 2 of their crucial pocket words, acknowledge and prompt.
Yes. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. If we go all the way back to that 40-minute panic attack over the delayed report, the concept of a prompt acknowledgement could have completely diffused that entire situation.
Absolutely.
The writer was panicking because they didn't have the final perfect answer yet. But they didn't need the perfect answer. They just needed to acknowledge the inbound message.
In the modern workplace, a fast triage is almost always better than a slow, perfect response.
Yes.
If you just reply within 10 minutes and say, "Thanks for reaching out, I'm looking into the data error and we'll give you a full update by Thursday," you instantly relieve the client's anxiety.
You prove that their email didn't fall into a black hole. You buy yourself 48 hours of breathing room to actually fix the problem, simply by sending a 15-second acknowledgement.
Which brings us to arguably the most dangerous tools in the email toolbox, CC and BCC, because these aren't just technical functions, they are highly political actions.
Oh, absolutely. Let's talk about CC first. Yeah. Because I see a lot of defensive CCing in corporate environments.
It's everywhere.
People will copy their manager or like an entire team on a minor update just to prove they're working or to cover themselves if something goes wrong. But isn't it safer to just CC everyone so nobody feels left out?
No, absolutely not. Defensive CCing is a toxic habit. It clutters inboxes and creates this bystander effect where everyone assumes someone else will reply because there are 10 people on the thread.
That is so true.
The rule of thumb should be, does this person have a strict business need to oversee this specific exchange? If not, leave them off.
Okay, that makes sense. And then there is BCC, blind carbon copy. I feel like BCC gets a bad reputation because people use it for secret back channeling, which just feels incredibly sneaky.
Yeah, using BCC to secretly loop a manager into a disciplinary conversation with a subordinate is definitely poor leadership. But BCC has a highly ethical, absolutely necessary function, which is protecting privacy in mass communications.
Oh, like sending a vendor update to 50 external contractors?
Exactly. If you put all 50 in the CC field, you just exposed everyone's private email address to strangers. And worse, you set the stage for a reply all apocalypse.
Oh, the worst.
Right. Using BCC for mass updates is a fundamental courtesy. It protects the recipient's data and their inbox.
It all comes back to empathy for the user on the other side of the screen. When we look at everything we've unpacked today, the register matching, the front-loaded architecture, the softening phrases, the strategic use of BCC, the overarching theme is that effective email writers aren't necessarily the ones with the most expansive vocabulary.
Not at all. The most effective communicators are simply the most deliberate. They don't just type out their stream of consciousness, they engineer the text to remove friction for the reader.
Yeah, they write subject lines that serve as accurate road signs. They give people permission not to reply. They offer one sentence of context and an apology instead of a paragraph of excuses. It is a trainable habit, not an innate talent.
And it's a habit that pays massive dividends in your professional reputation over time.
Totally. So as you head back to your own inbox this week, I really want you to reflect on where your communication causes friction. Out of the types of emails we discussed, requests, follow-ups, apologies, which one stresses you out the most?
That's a great question to ask yourself.
Yeah. And when you have to send a difficult request or deliver bad news, do you default to blunt imperatives? Try swapping in a modal question. Do your subject lines force people to guess what you want? Try the action topic deadline formula. Just applying a little bit of architecture can take all the anxiety out of that blinking cursor.
And as we close, I'd like to leave you with one final thought, a way to apply that X-ray metaphor not just to what you write, but to what you read.
I love this.
We spend so much energy worrying about how our own tone is perceived, but we rarely extend that same grace to others.
That's a really profound point.
The next time you open an email from a colleague, especially an international one that feels inexplicably abrupt, demanding, or passive-aggressive, just take a breath before you fire back a defensive reply. Ask yourself, are they actually attacking me, or am I just witnessing a clash of cultural registers? Could their perceived rudeness simply be a missing softening phrase? Because the bare bones of an email will always look harsh under the wrong light. Sometimes, choosing to interpret a blunt message as a structural error rather than a personal insult is the most professional and, frankly, the most peaceful thing you can do.
Assume positive intent and read it with a little grace. Keep those pocket words handy, structure your thoughts, and you'll navigate the inbox just fine.
Talk English Daily. Subscribe for new episodes